Hey guys, so unfortunately the camera store didn't have the right battery. They sold my kind of camcorder, my digital one, but they didn't have the battery. So everything's gonna have to be done on the phone, so I apologize if the quality's not what it should be, but we're right in the backyard. The house is right behind me, and we're gonna walk in to a spot which there should be a map that will come up here in a second, and we're going to walk into that big food plot that we have. Now this food plot we put in, it was the very first thing we did. We didn't really think about it, we just knew we had to do something, and we made the mistake at first of thinking every year if we just made it bigger it'd be better. If we could do it all over again, we would have done 2 smaller ones, divided it. It helps the deer feel more secure, which is part of the reason why this year you're going to see us, we're going to put in some, either a bush, we've talked about a Siberian elm bush, we've talked about spruce tree, white pine, anything really. We're going to be planting a couple things right in the middle of it, leaving enough space so we can drive around it with the lawnmower that we drag the food plot with and disc it. But we're going to be trying to break it up a little bit more. And I'll show you right here, I'm at this first food plot. Right here's the feeder that we put out just to see what survived. It's been a really soft winter, so we're barely feeding them any corn. As you can see, that's all that dropped right now. But this is the first small food plot, not the big one. And this is no more than maybe 15 by 10 yards. We planted some pure attraction in this year. It went pretty good. It was scraped really hard underneath this tree right here. Hope you can see that. Well, I can't see the screen, it's too bright. But here's this little food plot, and we're going to be making a trail, and you can see my dad actually hinge cut that tree right there to block that route off. And we're going to hinge cut a couple more right here to where they're going to want to head this way. They're only going to have 3 entrances to this food plot. One is that way towards the clear cut up by the road. One is that path right there, heading on to the north and northwest of our property. And then back here, if we look right, there's a little path right here, and this is the path that we encourage the deer to use. All these briars grow up, and they're laying down now because of the winter, but this is really the path the deer walk right here. And this is the type of paths that we're going to try to create throughout our whole property that force them to use certain spots. And now this is the big food plot, at least big in our eyes and big in what we're doing. I would say it's maybe half an acre, maybe a little bit more. But right here in this big central spot, right there about where you see that stake, we want to plant some trees, or a white pine, or bush, or something. And you'll notice we've got some hinge cutting to do. A lot of those small trees up there, not the apple tree, but a lot of those trees, we're going to thicken up the edges of this. I mean, there's tons of briars growing, but we're going to hinge cut around this entire thing. This thorn tree will probably come down. We might even bring that locust tree down. And while I'm talking about locust trees are the perfect tree to hinge cut. They will sprout back up quicker than almost any other tree. So, alright, over here is that main of the bigger food plot, but as you can see, it works its way down in between these trees, goes back. I'm standing in a little finger, but it extends on the other side of this tree, goes down, and then if I walk this way some, you'll see how there's a little island right here of stuff with a small thorn tree, and there's a little finger that does a little U right around there, wraps around that island, comes up this way, and goes on up towards the hip. As you can see, the food plot does this finger, and then they can get through right there, or around this island where you can see we're on camera right now. Right here, wraps back around, and we got some trees in here. Now, you might be wondering why we left some of these trees. Well, that tree right there we could cut. This one is an oak tree. This one is an oak tree. And then some of these thorn trees If I could zoom in, I'd show you, but way up there, there's a bean pod. Now, the thorn trees that we got in our woods, they produce these big black bean pods. If I find one, I'll show you, but the deer absolutely love them. It's a great winter food, and the deer will feed on them for quite a while. But as you can see, this food plot has pretty good cover. We have a bunch of little islands that there's briars growing up in them now, little bushes. So it's getting better, but that big spot up there, we're going to want to thicken up some, as well as just thickening up these borders some. Here, I'll take you over here, and you'll see that right here, you can see that we attempted, and originally this worked. It was just a bunch of the tops of all the trees we cut, and we just piled them up here. And that's still a really good deterrent. Deer aren't going to really walk through that. They might jump over it. But the problem is this. I mean, look, you can see right over it. You can see on up the hill. You can see anywhere standing in this food plot. It doesn't feel really safe. And we want the deer to feel safe when they come into this food plot. We want them to come in and have protection around them and have limited access points, because limited access points do numerous things. One, it helps us hunters pattern the deer. We know where and when they go in to the, well, we know where. We may not know when, but we know where they can access the food plots at. Two, it helps the deer because when they're in the food plot, they know they only have so many places they have to look for danger. Because they know a coyote, a wolf, wherever you're living, whatever's a predator, humans only can access them from those routes. So it may limit them to only 2 entrances and 2 exits from the food plot, but if they have 2 or 3, they have multiple exits if something should come through one of them, and they know to watch just those 3. They know something's not going to come busting through, you know, some cover without making a lot of noise, and then they're fine either way. So I'm going to take you, I still got a lot of work to do back here, and I'm going to do some, but let me go ahead and take you. This is our main trail